This is my ASL Pottery to English for week 4. Hi, my name is Pat Ritchie, and I am a teacher. I teach English 50, and that English is for, people who can't read well and write well, and, the specific words and how you put those words and make correct sentences. I've really noticed since I started teaching that, once I, grade the papers and stuff and I hand them back out, students will get them and they'll look at them, okay, put it in their bag. Okay, put it in their bag. Not anything a big deal. None of them, get excited and ask me, hey, why did I get this wrong? Or, hey, what happened here? So I decided to get a projector and put that up on the screen. Only a special few writings, not all of them. So the students would do their homework at home, and then when they brought it to class, we'd all sit around in the circle, and I would put all of the answers up on the projector. So then, once they had the answers up there, they would just, correct their own homework, and, but of course, there's always some students who haven't done their homework yet and sit back there and they just copy and write and copy and write. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? And they're like, oh, sorry, I haven't done my homework yet. And I'm like, well, you need to do your homework. You need to be equal with everybody else. Everybody else has done it. How are you supposed to learn if you don't do the writing? Like, well, the other students, like, they correct it and stuff, and that's kind of scary. And I was like, yeah, well, I can't avoid it. So, anyways. So what I did is I put just a list put up on the projector a list of words, and each of those words also had a sentence. So the word was in the sentence. So while that word was in that sentence, I decided, I wanted them to tell me what the meaning of the word was in that specific sentence. So a lot of them were like, I don't know. So like I kind of explained the first one, and I was like, in sign language, I was just like, this is what this word means. This is what this word means. And they're like, oh, like now I get it. Like I totally remember. So then the next thing I would do is I would take a paragraph and I would put it up on the board and I'd have them read it. And then I was like, okay, so like, what's this about? So, they'd think about it and some of them would understand. So then I'd like pick out one sentence and I'm like, okay, so like, what does this one sentence mean? Like, figure it out. And they're like, I don't know. And so I would, I'd sign it and I'd say, okay, this is what this means. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, I understand that in English now, finally. So then I was like, you guys just need to, study and like learn it and not just, think that it'll just happen, but you got to keep doing it. So then when you're talking about what sentences, and some sentences can start with what, and they'll say what, and then they'll go on a comma, and they'll go on period. Some of them would get confused. They're like, what? And then they'd, that pause in there, and then they'd finish a sentence, and they'd get confused. I'm sorry, I meant to say when. When something, pause and finish. Maybe something like when something happened or something like that. You could also move that sentence around. That when section you can move to the back. There's certain rules. Then you can't put when at the very end of the sentence, or you can't do this at the end of the sentence. It has to stay the same. So there's important rules that they had to learn. It was really hard. I had to try to give the students ideas of how they were going to be able to learn it and how it was going to be figured it out and all the rules and stuff to help them remember. Now the other writing. Wow, this writing is kind of difficult. So for each of the students, we used a program on the computer named ENFI, E-N-F-I. So each of them would have computers, and we'd all sit in a circle, and I'd have a computer, and I'd get out and I'd type. They'd send me ones, or I'd send them ones, and we'd figured them out together. And I'd tell them, hey, with this sentence, you should maybe do this, or with this sentence, you should maybe do that. The student over there would be like, hey, this is wrong, maybe fix this sentence. And then when we were all done, I would copy that paper, and I'd bring it to the room and put it on the projector. And they'd realize, oh, why that was wrong, and why I should use a certain other word. That's something that's kind of new, and I kind of want to hopefully use that next term in the fall because it really helped. It'll really help the students understand more. It'll help get students involved more with English and their improvement with English, and it'll make them better at it. It'll help them become better signers, and not only that, but better, writers and knowing English. So they'll be able to have both of those. And then they'll also, they'll remember the connection between the two and how they remember that.